Welcome back. Today we're going to look at creating rooms and navigating rooms. Uh, that's today's work. So let's go to rooms and see what we have. We have home and we have outside. Okay, so the first room we want to create is going to be our start room. Um, and we're going to put that in an environment. Okay, so let's first name the room. So our main character's, our player character's name is Kit, K-I-T, as you'll remember, or maybe you don't. Anyway, and so we're going to just rename this home default to that. So we go to the alphabet here that says rename, and we're going to call it Kit's room. Okay. And now it's called Kit's room. Now we're going to need to describe Kit's room. I have this handy uh, little piece here, which tells us what the room looks like. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it right there. Okay, so that's Kit's room. Now we're going to have to go down to the menu here and we're going to have to put it in an environment. Okay. Tom will explain to you what environments are.
Right. So in feral fiction, as the player, you can walk from one room to another. There are a large number of reasons why you might not want a player to be able to do that. You're writing a science fiction story and you have different planets, so you don't want one player to be able to walk across one room to another between two planets. You have a mystery that takes place in several cities. You don't want a player to be able to walk between cities that are far apart. So environments essentially are collections of rooms or collections of places that a player can actually walk through. So Will is going to create an environment for this story by
Okay.
selecting add environment.
Okay, so I'm going to add an environment because this is the very beginning, and we're going to call this environment uh, the house. Okay. So everything that we put in this environment should really be in the house unless it's like Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, where you're in the house and then you go into the wardrobe and then you're in Narnia. But for this story, we're just going to be in the house, I think. So I'm going to add that environment, and then I'm going to uh, and now this room, Kit's room, is in that environment.
Right. And now
Okay.
we're going to repeat that exercise for the next room.
Okay, so here we go to the default, which says outside, but it's not actually going to be outside. It's going to be, we're going to call it the closet. Okay, so we're going to rename outside into the closet. And I'm going to say, okay. And then we're going to put that closet in the environment, which is the house. And now we are located. All right. The next piece that we want to look at, well, and maybe we want to make a nickname plus, and we're going to call it just closet.
Mhm.
Um, all right. So there we have that. So
You want to add a
now,
description for this room?
yeah, well, I think we should. So let's go and pick it up over here. This is a big closet. There are a couple of pair of sneakers, and the hole in the wall the size of a pie plate. That's important. Okay, I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it right here. And so now we have a room description. And now we have a little thing called help text that we should explain to you, and then I'll add. Tom, do you want to explain the help text piece?
Yep. So what Will's going to do is, in order to create the ability for a player to walk from one room to another, we have to tell feral fiction how those rooms are connected. Now, and some of those connections are uh, they're absolute. In other words, like a compass map, and in the center of this screen, you see there's a compass map with all compass points on it. And if Will wanted to, he could select a compass point direction between the closet and Kit's room. Or, as is more common to refer to think about this setup, um, you might say if you're in Kit's room, you're going to go inside the closet, and if you're in the closet, you're going to go outside of Kit's room. So from Kit's room, Will is going to select the in menu, which is down to the bottom right. On the in menu, he's going to select the closet. And the help text automatically populates. So go inside the, and then because he named it the closet, it says the closet. He can edit that to make it clearer. So he can pull one of those thes out. Yep. And so it says go inside the closet. So if someone is in Kit's room and they type go downstairs, the system will chime and it'll tell them you can't do that. From here, you can go inside the closet. And then that gives them kind of a prompt to think about what they want to do next. And then Will is going to go to the closet and he's going to select out and he's going to go out to Kit's room.
Okay. And so the
Out is bottom, is to the right of down. There you go. Underneath.
okay,
Yep.
there we go.
There you go. So a note about this, if you select a compass point, like if you say one is north and south of the other, the opposite room will automatically get populated, as will its help text. If Will selects another direction to go into any other room, which we will later, you'll also see that the help text will automatically update for both destinations. So we do as much as possible to keep the editing in this space down because it's a bit to have to keep the directions of all the rooms in your head, when as you're writing.
Yeah, I mean, another thing to remember here is that, for different kinds of stories, you're going to use different uh, forms of our navigation tools. So if you're, going to be in a big sprawling epic, let's say you were adapting Game of Thrones to this, right? We would
Mm-hmm.
go north to get to the
Yeah,
North Country and south to get to Westerov or whatever
yeah,
those places
wherever
are.
those things are called. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
So that is essentially how you get around, how you locate your places, your rooms. Um, and
And then,
yeah,
do we want to create a scene? The last thing we need to do, and you'll also notice that Will pre-populated these rooms with their images, with their reference images, which is using the same method that you learned in the last video when you created character images. So
yeah,
we just sped it up a little bit, the
yeah.
process.
So the quick review is you go down, you would see that the camera icon here and where you see the photo, you you click on that and you have, you'll get one of
Yeah,
uh, these uh, guys here, and then you can create a new one by describing and all of that, just as you did with the characters,
exactly.
just as we showed you. Okay.
All right.
Um, shall we move on to scenes?
Yeah, let's make a scene because that's the last thing we need to do before we're ready to start promoting.
Okay, so we're going to go down to the bottom and we're going to have a scene. Okay, now the default here is this little piece of Shakespeare. Okay, obviously we're not writing Shakespeare here. And so we're going to replace this with uh, for our first scene, which I pre-written. Okay, so this is what the player will read. Kit sits at the desk and hears a sound. What is that? Says Kit. Kit hears the sound again. It sounds like crying. The sound is coming from the closet. Okay, so we're clearly leading the witness here, right? Because the player is going to know that they're going to want to go investigate something in the closet, right? And so we're going to copy that to there. And now we have our first scene. It's located in Kit's room.
Hmm.
Okay, Tom, you want to explain these other
Yeah.
pieces here?
Teleport to is really for moving a player from one place to another on a sudden. You walk in, you're playing a noir mystery. The detective, who's the hero, walks into a room and someone hits him over the back of the head. He blacks out and wakes up in another location. That's how you would do that. You would use teleport, for example. We don't need to teleport here, so we're going to leave that alone. Speaking, there is no other character in this room, but if there were, then we would select a character that with whom we are speaking by default. And that way, if there is more than one character in the room, you don't have to turn and say, turn to Romeo and say, how hath are you today? Right, right,
Yeah,
and
and
then
what happens, what would happen if there were, other characters in that room, they would show up here, right? And so
yep,
your entire list of characters will be in this
will
drag down.
shows up there. Yeah, and you just select who the player is meant to be speaking with on at the initial at the start of that scene. It's good hygiene to always have, unless the player is entering an empty room for a scene. It's always good to have. It's good hygiene to select a character from that list. Responds is a special case, and it happens when you want to give a non-player character the opportunity to say something before the player can do something on a scene. And we'll cover that in a future lesson down the road. Take action. All of those fields you can leave alone for now. There are special cases where you can, uh, yeah, you can. There are a fairly large number of activities that you can create that are triggered by a scene. We'll leave them for the future. It's a more advanced topic. And then below that is the idea of branching. If you were creating a story that had multiple plot points and multiple plot branches, and you wanted to branch your story, you could from here. And again, we'll cover that in the future. But for now, all we have is that we have a simple scene, a scene one, and scene one with two characters uh, and uh, and two rooms is really all you need to get a story launched and to play it. And we will cover that in our next video.
Yeah.
Oh, the last thing to do is we need to make sure, Will, that on the story screen that the location for the start room is set.
And is it?
Oh, it is. Yeah, kids room. Good.
Yeah,
Yep. But if you see this as blank, it's a good thing to check. And if it's blank, then make sure that you select where the story starts.
it's right here. So the
Yeah.
story starts right here. Yeah. Yeah, that orients the tech to where we're coming from.
Yeah. How to open. Okay.
All right. I think that's it, eh, Tom?
Yep. That's good. Thanks,
Okay.
everybody.
Thanks for listening.